one has to do with the other, but go on. I took up a lot of time with Fox.
Oh, it's fine. We have time.
I don't really see what one has to do with the other, especially consider and using the Civil War to talk about black Americans. That war was not fought for black people to have guns. That's not.
That war was fought for black people to have freedoms in this country.
Yeah.
Actually, that's why the Civil War was fought.
Okay.
Excuse me? What did you just say out your mouth? Let me rewind. Because I believe you said that the American Civil War was fought for black people's freedoms. And if you said that, then I know you are either grossly and greatly confused or you are a whole liar out here. So let me see.
That war was fought for black people to have freedoms in this country.
Yeah.
Actually,
Wow.
that's why the Civil War was fought.
Okay.
No, pardon me, sir. Vivek, no, that's not why the American Civil War was fought, sir. That is greatly confusing. That is greatly incorrect. That is most wrong. That is not the reason why the American Civil War was fought, sir. The American Civil War was fought over two warring economies. The American Civil War was fought over the same reason that every war is fought over: money and economies. The Northerners had a poor economy. The Southerners had a rich economy. These two economies were contending with one another. The reason why the Southern economy was so strong is because they had free chattel slave labor. The Northern economy could not compete. The Northern economy saw that this was going to be a problem in the future with their future children and their future generations. This is what they saw. They saw that their children, the Northerners, their children were going to be subject to the same exact thing that the blacks were being subject to at that current time. That was the problem. So that's why they said to themselves, we must bust up this system, not for black people, sir. The war was not fought for black people. It just so happened, sir. It just so happened that during the Civil War, black people freed themselves. I repeat, it just so happened that during the Civil War, black people freed themselves, sir. But the intention going in was not about black people. Abraham Lincoln, out of his own literature, out of his own words, he said that I am not concerned about black people. I am concerned about the Union staying unified. That's my main concern. And in his reasoning to remedy this problem, the lack of unification between the two unions, he said we're going to have to now let those blacks be free and give them some land. So he designed a system where the states from Virginia to Florida, all the coastal states, were going to be now designated and given to those now free black persons. But the war was never fought for black people solely, and that was never the primary intention. The primary intention was we're losing money in the North because we can't compete with the Southern free labor. Are you following me? Black people were just in the middle of that. So now I want you to direct your attention to a video I did a few weeks back. It's called 500,000 Germans in the American Civil War. Please take a look at that video. It's called 500,000 Germans in the American Civil War. We used those 500,000 Germans as objective observers. Those 500,000 Germans were objective observers throughout history. And what did they say? First, why are they objective observers? Because they are the only people that basically have no dog or very little dog in the fight. Now, what did they say about the Northerners? They called those Northerners bigots. They called those Northerners racists. And the Germans said, we're going to still fight with these bigots and we're going to still fight with these racists, but and the reason why we're going to fight with them, because the greater problem is down in the South. So the Germans, many of them through their own writings, their own literature, they vowed to destroy the plantation system and they vowed to kill plantation owners because of their inhumanity. Just that simple. So now this gentleman right here is claiming that the Civil War was fought over or fought for black people and their freedoms as if America had a heart, or as if America had a genuine concern for these people. Not at all. And if they had a genuine concern, then they would have let them on their land after the war was over, after they were free. But that was quickly reversed after the assassination of one Abraham Lincoln. We're not here defending Don Lemon, family. I am not defending Don Lemon because Don Lemon, through his time on CNN, has conflated the black community with the LGBTQ community. And what I'm saying with that is when how he has conflated them is you would make it almost seem like black issues and gay issues go hand in hand, Mr. Don Lemon. That's why you get what you get. You deserve what you deserve. But my attention right now on the juice bar for the Daily Juice this morning is on this gentleman right here, Mr. Vivek, for talking outright lies. Outright lies. That's one thing I will say about Don Lemon. He's conflating issues, but he's not necessarily lying directly. Mr. Vivek, you're a liar. Now, back to Don. They fired Don before they fired Don. When they took Don off his primetime show, that was them firing Don. That was them giving a heads up to Don. Your time is over. Geppetto, CNN, is cutting ties with you now, sir. That's what's going on here. But this interview right here was very alarming because this man right here, Vivek, is a GOP presidential candidate. And he is a confused, misinformed individual who was speaking on issues which he should not. He is an Indian American coming from India. India is also another country with a caste system like America. In fact, India has the oldest caste system in the world. It's based upon religion. America has the second oldest caste system in the world. It's based upon race. Let me continue.
The sad
That
part
wasn't
about it.
fought for black people to have guns. I think.
Actually, you know, funny fact is black people did not get to enjoy the other freedoms until their Second Amendment rights were secured. And I think that's one of the lessons that we learned.
Black people still aren't allowed to enjoy the freedoms.
I disagree with you on that, Don. I disagree with you. And I think you're doing a
obviously, he is an NRA supporter, Second Amendment rights supporter. We have no problem with the Second Amendment rights. We support that. You should be able to protect yourself, protect your property. No doubt about that. There are other issues that come along with that that can be discussed at another time. But right now, we can clearly see where Vivek's agenda is coming from. We can see where his lobbyist money is coming from.
disservice to our country by failing to recognize the fact that we have equality before the law.
And you live in this country, then you can disagree with me, but we're not. You mentioned that there's three different shades
Don, I
of
think we have to be able to
here.
talk about these issues in the open, regardless of the color of our skin. Black Americans today, to say that, compare that to 1865 and 1964,
I think for you to compare it to
absolutely
1865 and
have equal rights in this country.
actually, I think it's insulting.
Black Americans, to say that black people today, compared to 1964, 1865, haven't made progress in part because of the freedoms we secured. And the Second Amendment was
Black
part
people,
of what secured
hang on,
that
please.
freedom.
I cannot keep a thought if you guys are talking to me in my ear. So hang on one second. So to say that black people, say what you said again.
You hear what Don said? Don had to stop the people from speaking in his ear because they see that Don is going off CNN code. Don is now going on the code of truth. And had he been doing that from day one, A1, had they fired him, you'd be in a much greater position there, sir. But he's going off code right now, speaking truth to, I don't know, GOP power. But he's speaking truth to it. And he told them, you're in my ear. I can't hear myself. I want to get my point out my way, not being dictated by you. And that's why he pulled, I don't know if he pulled his plug out, but he turns his attention directly to Vivek at this point. Let's continue.
Black people secured their freedoms after the Civil War. It is a historical fact, Don. Just study it. Only after their Second Amendment rights were secured.
They
That's
were
a
not
fact.
secured their freedoms after the Civil War. That is not you.
That's a fact, Don. Don is 100% right. Their rights were not secured after the Civil War. That's a bold-faced lie, Vivek. Don is 100% right. I told you before, I'm not defending Don, but wherever someone speaks the truth, I'm on it. This is the juice bar. And anybody speaking lies, I'm on it, because this is the juice bar. He said their rights were not secured after the American Civil War, and they were not. Vivek mentions 1865 to 1964. That is the Reconstruction time period. That is actually the best time in America for Black Americans when it comes to their economy, when it comes to their society, when it comes to their communities, when it comes to their relationships, when it comes to their overall development and evolution in this country. The Reconstruction period is the time to study. That is the time where they were under non-integration. They were segregated. They were forced to work with their own hands, work with their own people, and their dollars were being circulated within their own communities. It was a very prosperous time for them in this country between 1865 and 1965 or 1964. However, as Don made mention, the rights were not secured. What was the biggest problem of Black America during the Reconstruction time period, although they were building and evolving more so than ever before? What was their biggest problem? What Don just got done saying. They had no rights on the books. They had no laws protecting them. That's why members of the Ku Klux Klan, the White Knights, and organizations like that could come in and basically, no lie, diminish and destroy the Black population by 45%. 45% of the Black population was killed off between 1865 and 19, between 1860s and the 1960s. During that 100-year time period of Reconstruction, 45% of the Black population was killed. They were trying to commit genocide on the Black population during that time period. These are the facts.
Are discounting Reconstruction, you're discounting a whole host of things that happened after the Civil War when it comes to African Americans, including the whole reason that the Civil Rights Movement happened is because Black people did not secure their freedoms after the Civil War.
We can go on all day, but that's the main point. We'll close up right here. The reason why it went from Reconstruction in 1860 to 1965 to 1965, and then at the 1965 came the Civil Rights Movement, is because Black people had no rights. See, when you have no rights, you have to push for human and civil rights. Why were they pushing for civil rights? Because they were being killed. Genocide was being imposed upon them to the degree that 45% of their population was diminished during that Reconstruction time period. See that? So there were no rights for Black people after the Civil War. Let's be clear on that. They were hunted. And although they were building and prosperous at that time, they were still being hunted. Family, we could do this all day, but we gotta be done. Gotta be done now. Because there will be someone else that will come up and speak bold-faced lies, and we're going to get right on them right here on the Juice Bar. This is the Daily Juice.